Recording? It is recording. Awesome. Okay, so we worked through branding, and what did you guys think about branding? The whole concept of branding. Talk to me a little bit about your experience with this assignment.
I liked it.
I liked it too.
You liked it? What did you like about it?
Well, for me, I know I already told you, Foss, but I already knew the place that I'm doing, which is Mr. B's, which is a tailor company that's out in Clive. I just like that how for tailoring and suit shops, they don't really have too many logo designs. I'll probably send you my drawings because my computer is acting up right now. But it was interesting trying to incorporate a logo with Mr. B's because it has no logo for it at all.
Okay. Anybody else enjoy it? You did, Amanda. What did you enjoy about it?
I just liked the whole process of it, of like taking something and modernizing it and trying to like update it while still staying true to the values.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I enjoy about branding is it's a more complex problem to solve, right? Than just here, design this one thing. And you have to think multidimensionally and about how your work will potentially or not potentially work well on other media, right? So I enjoy it because it's more complex. One nice thing about branding, if you become you can specialize as being a brand designer, and it's a good field to go in, and there's a lot of specialties within graphic design people don't realize, but you can specialize as a branding graphic designer, and you work on large complex projects, which can take 2 years to develop and launch. So if it's something you enjoy, that's something to know about the type of work that branding designers do. It's also kind of from a status standpoint, brand work is kind of the top of the pyramid. It's a lot of people fight to get it because branding is considered sort of the cream of the crop from a quality and just level of how people perceive your work. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to move on to a completely different kind of graphic design now, but brand is still a thing. So we're not going to abandon our focus on remaining true to the overall presentation of what your companies are doing. We're going to move on to package design. So get you guys arranged on my screen so I can see people. All right. So package design. So packages are everywhere, right? They're all over the place. And some of them we recognize and some of them we don't. But product packaging always refers to the creation of the exterior of a product. Okay, so the product is in the package. And sometimes they go hand in hand in the execution, like with this Coke cup that they designed. The cup is a package, right? The product is the Coke. And there's some brilliant work that can be done, because when the cup is full, the Coke bottle, which we're all familiar with seeing, looks like it's full. And then as it goes down, it's like, oh shit, I'm out of Coke, right? So this is a great example of mixing the iconography of something that's historically relevant, like Coke, and the symbolism of the Coke bottle with a new package design. So package design doesn't ever really stop. It changes, and how many people have seen like limited editions, right, on things? And sometimes it's a packaging, right? The only thing they really changed is the packaging. They haven't changed a lot of, maybe they haven't changed the product a lot. Nike does it all the time. You know, you'll have, oh, there's a new Nike, whatever, special edition Air, whatever it is. And they're really just changing the packaging, you know, which is the wrapper on the shoe, because the sole technology and the lacing and all that stuff stays the same. You can also, you know, that's part of the product, but then they have, you know, the package that they come in is just the famous red box. So it's more than just the box or the pack or the cup. It also includes the material, right, as well as the graphics and the fonts and everything else. And they're memorable. And sometimes the best solutions though come from things that are practical. It's what we usually see first, unless we see an ad somewhere. But when we go to purchase something, the packaging is what we see first many times. And so there's 6 basic rules to good packaging design. This will all be out there too. So one is simplicity and clarity. And you want to make sure that people understand what product you're selling. You have to make sure it's clear, right? I mean, that's job one. Just like with design, our role as graphic designers is to, one, make sure we communicate clearly, right, and have impact on these people. But with package design, it's even more important. And here's a perfect example. This is a good example of package design, right? Pasta and then the various flavors. And then you've got this soda down here. Is that soda? Does anybody know what Fabuloso is?
Isn't it a cleaner?
It's a cleaner, right? So this is a bad example over here. So Fabuloso is it's a cleaning product from Mexico, but the scary thing is they make it looks a lot like it's a soda, right, of some sort. And so this would not be a good package design because it's misleading. Some little kid might look at it and be like, oh, I should drink that because there's apples and bananas and stuff, right? And in addition to that, it doesn't clearly convey what's in there. Honesty. How many times, like if you take this one, this is chocolate bread, you know, and then here in the picture you show that there's so many chocolate chips in it, but the reality is there's none. So as a consumer, if the packaging lies about the quality or the quantity of something, like in this case, it's like, oh, it's just full of chocolate chips, and you break the trust, right? Then the brand winds up suffering because the packaging is misleading. So simplicity and honesty, authenticity. You want to make sure that you're authentic, being true to what it is. If what you're doing is you have the ability to say something is organic or GMO free or whatever it may be, make sure you're just authentic about it, right? If it's assembled in America, be authentic about it. And you guys can pull this down and read through all this. The other one is shelf impact. Shelf impact is huge, especially for consumer products, because if you go to buy soup, how many different brands of soup are there? Yeah, like 20 different kinds or 10 different kinds, right? And they're all competing for shelf space and how they face, right? So how you see them, and which ones are at the top at eye level? The cheap ones or the expensive ones?
Expensive ones.
Right, because the cheap ones are usually always down low because people don't want to bend down when they shop. So they know if they put the ones at eye level that are more expensive, then they're more likely to be purchased simply because people are lazy. But it doesn't mean that good packaging can't encourage somebody, if it stands out on a shelf, to, you know, buy up or buy down. Extensibility is something that we've talked about with other projects. Is how does your design work across multiple products, right? And this is same true when you're working on a campaign. As a designer, you need to create something that can be extended. And I don't know if extensibility or extendability, either of those two words, but whatever your design, your package design should be, is it should be able to work on like if there's multiple flavors or multiple recipes within a product, or they have a bunch of different, like if you're doing work boots and there's like 5 different work boots, you want to make sure that your package design can work across that line of products, right? And then practicality is the last one. So you don't want to design a package that isn't practical. For years, Heinz ketchup was this, or ketchup in general, condiments like this. This is still the majority of them. And what was the problem with that? Is you never got everything out of it because it was at the opposite end of the hole, right? So some designer, packaging designer, flipped it upside down, solved the problem. So the reason this was the solution for years is this packaging design was driven by the practicality back in the day of, we can get glass bottles and this is how they're made, right? So they accepted a flaw in their delivery because of something that was considered a norm. Good packaging many times comes from this practicality thing, where there's a problem with an existing feature set or an existing packaging that gets solved. And in this case of the Heinz ketchup, it was turn it over. So how many of you guys here eat peanut butter? Okay.
Yes.
What's the problem with peanut butter's packaging? You have
It's hard to get it all.
It's hard to get it all. Why is that?
Because when you try to pick it out with like a knife or something like that, you can't get half the stuff that's in there. Some are usually small.
So what would a good solution be?
A cone.
A cone? Okay.
Cone shaped. So when you get the knife in there, you can get all around the cone.
Okay, that's one solution. What else? What if it was in a tube like toothpaste?
I've had stuff like that before. It sometimes doesn't work out all the way because there's still going to be more in the toothpaste.
Yeah, but I mean, it's easier to dispense, right? So the reason I bring it up is one of my students on this project designed a new peanut butter package, and what they did is they put a lid on both ends. And they literally made one and filled it full of peanut butter. And so we could work from one end, right, until it got down in there, because when I asked you this, you all were going like this, right? Like it's way down there. But the way they designed the packaging is they have put a lid on either end. So when you're having troubles getting to it from one end, you just flip it around and unscrew it, and then everything is right there, right? I thought it was a pretty ingenious approach. And there's other approaches to it other than that. So practicality many times will drive interesting packages. But I want to show you some, I did some searching for some what I think are outstanding package designs, and I want to share them with you so they spur some ideas. That's pretty fresh. Who's their customer?
Hungry people. Or wait,
Hungry
just
people.
Mm-hmm.
They're free range eggs. This is probably going to be your person who's concerned with, cruelty free, right? How old do you think they are, more than likely?
Late 20s, early 30s.
Potentially, yeah. So very picky about their food, right? And that's pretty darn fresh right there. Have you guys seen these? Have you seen this packaging yet? It
That
was
looks,
only did,
that looks familiar.
yeah, they did it in some places as a test. It was neat because Trident is always, they always talk about how it's good for your teeth, right? And so what they did is, as a designer, hey Noble, is a designer just went ahead and like used that little chiclet shape for teeth, and it caught on. It was catchy, kind of a catchy design. I mean, are they going to continue? Are they going to continue to sell Trident gum whether they do something like this or not? Sure, but this made it more fun, right? So you could have it now, and it kind of lends itself. It reinforces the brand that Trident helps you with your teeth, right? So limited edition packaging. This is a swimsuit company called Butt Cheeks. It's a box, and it has a string around it, and inside is a string bikini. So they use, the way they positioned it though is it definitely draws your attention, especially if you have something that's three-dimensional that's on the outside. So this was simple, but very, very effective. Here's one that I think is fun. This is the Ford Ranger, when Ford released the new Ranger here last year. And you know, they always talk about how Fords are built Ford tough. Well, this one is full of matches, and the way they designed it is it looks like the matches are in the bed of the truck. So it's a work truck. I mean, you certainly, if you think about it, for the automotive industry, coming up with some sort of clever packaging is difficult because the things are big, right? You drive their product around. So this is something that's kind of fun, and it reinforces the brand because the little sticks are in the bed like you would fill the bed of the truck full of wood. So I thought it was a pretty clever way to provide something that you can give to a customer or somebody can pick up and take for free about the automotive industry that still was on brand with the product that you have. This one I thought was cool. It's called Goldfish Tea, and you've seen those little the tea bags are in the shape of goldfish, and they're kind of cool, right? I mean, here's one in a jar, and here's one in a cup, but they've taken it and they just made it artsy and fun. I mean, are any of you tea drinkers? A little snobby about your tea, maybe?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a way to appeal to people who want to be, it's calming. You got a little friendly little face in your jar, and it creates a sense of connection between the product and the person. This was one I really love personally. Festina is an Italian watchmaker, and they're known for they market them on being engineered for water. A lot of they're expensive watches, but this is the way they're delivered in water itself. The bags are full of water, and your watch, your $2,000, $5,000 watch, comes in water. So that's the way they're delivered. But that's a pretty good testament to the promise, right? The promise of Festina is they're engineered for water, and so they just deliver one to you in water. You got to take it out and you got to let it dry before you can wear it. So, or put it on wet. You guys might recognize this one, Thelma's, right here in Des Moines. And so this is a clever way. Brian didn't design the muffin one, but these two they speak, the product packaging speaks to the homemade goodness of being baked in a kitchen. These are single muffins. And of course, Thelma's is pretty famous brand around here. TPT, again, going back to the individualism of the tea. Each one of these is an individual tea packet, and instead of having a string, you've got sticks. And so it's just kind of fun and whimsical, but you still have a unique experience with the brand, and the packaging reinforces it, so it creates a connection. And you hope the tea is good, right? Kleenex started doing this a number of years back. How many of you guys have Kleenex or tissues in your house?
I do.
Okay, the box is just ugly.
No, I have
that'd be
I have different ones.
Yeah. So yeah, right. So now it's more common to where they have a design on them, right? Not just something that looks like wallpaper or your grandmother's couch, but something that's interesting. Because people, one of the things they heard was, is like your product, but the boxes are really ugly and they sit out and they make my house look terrible. So now Kleenex actually has a whole line of like architectural style or interior decoration where you can pick what you want, and so it just helps improve the people's perception of their brand, and it provides a little differentiation because maybe if you're a writer, you're going to have a typewriter box of Kleenex is sitting at your desk. So this brand here does a really good job of incorporating their product into their design. And as you can see, we all know there's different types of pastas, right? But what they've done is they've been able to create not only very clean package design, but they're creating almost like a persona. Now the faces remain the same. What changes is the pasta in the window, the cutout in the package. So if you have pasta, these things are kind of cool, right? Sitting out, and it creates an elevated sense of style. Like if you come over to somebody's house and you see this, come out of the cupboard or whatever, it's like, okay, well, it's pasta, but this is pretty cool because somebody's taken time to think about it. Oh no, did I lose the? Oh no, here it is. I got to go backwards. Hold on. All right. So, but what it also does is, going back to my comment about shelving and facing at the store at the point of purchase, this looks completely different than the bags around it, doesn't it? So if you're walking down the aisle and you're looking for pasta, and you're going to see this first, right? Even though it is down low, you're going to see this first because they've taken into consideration the wall of bags and everything looks the same. You can still see the product, like here's the little bent noodles here, and there's spaghetti down here right next to it. But because they put their product inside of a shape, right? Going back to our design theory, they've used a shape to capture it. It creates a more focused attention on their product. So they're using graphic design with a die cut shape to draw your attention to their product, where all around it is big windows of the same product, but none of them have the same impact as these. So this was very good. I thought these guys did a great job in their package design. So as designers, one of the problems that we face with packaging is, what's a challenge to a package? What do you guys think is the biggest challenge to designing to a package? How many axes does your screen have? 2.
1, 2.
You've got 2 axes, right? You've got X and you've got Y. Packages have a Z-axis, which is depth, right? And whatever we're always working on something flat, typically, right? Webs, whether it's screen or whether it's something flat, like it's going to be printed or whatever. These things are 3-dimensional, right? And when you go to have the package printed, it's not going to be just printed on a flat piece of paper, because it's got to be what's called converting, right? It's got to convert from a flat sheet into something, a beer box, right? Anybody here ever go to the store and buy soda or beer? The box that they come in, that thing is printed flat and then converted and glued, and the product goes in it. So you have to think about your design differently. You can think about it in 3-dimension, right? And in fact, I always encourage people to make, whenever they're working on their product, their product design or packaging design, is to make one, physically one, and then look at your design on it, draw on the thing, right? Because you think about it differently. I don't know, hang on a second. Let me find something here. Okay, So here's a package, right? Here's a package. And it's when you see it in multiple ways. It might be sitting on the shelf like this. It might be sitting on the shelf like this. But you've got different things to consider, right? It's not just a flat surface. And maybe you see it this way or like this. So that's why it's important for you to think about your design three-dimensionally when you're working, because you're eventually going to have to do what's on the screen here, is you're going to have to make a print-ready flat, okay, that folds up or converts or is whatever they have to do to it in order to get it to work. And this product packaging designers, man, they do some amazing things, okay? But you have to think a little differently, especially if you're going to do something that's non-traditional. Again, when they fold down, this is what these look like. We take it for granted, right? You get a box of Band-Aids and you open it up and it's like the little thing works. What's the one thing that's irritating about cereal?
You always rip the part that's supposed to help it close.
Exactly.
The flap of the box.
The what?
The flap of the box.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they've created it, but the glue they put on there is always it never pops loose, right? And then so when you go to reclose it, it doesn't want to close again. And so then some people have come up with, now there's a Ziploc bag inside, right? The bag itself has a zipper on it. One of the coolest things I think is neat is from a closure standpoint is like our cat food that we have. The cat food has like cheap plastic Velcro on it, but it works, you know, so the bag isn't left open. When you get done with it, you just zip it shut and you put it back in the cupboard and you're done with it, and it keeps it fresh. So what does this mean? So what this means is if you look here at this image, this is what a printer flat for these boxes looks like. So when you're thinking about how you're designing, you have to consider what your printer flat template is. And you see here on this edge, can you guys see this little, it looks like a white tab sticking out in this image? That's a glue flat. Okay, the reason there's no ink on it is because if you put ink on here and then you put glue, the glue will fail. So that's why the ink of the design stops here, because this is going to be folded in on one of these corners and it'll be glue applied to it so that it stays shut. So what do you guys think about some of these designs? Pretty cool?
Nifty.
Nifty.
Very creative.
All right. So you guys are going to do a product package design, and it's broken up into two sections, right? The first part is your research and the second part will be your design. It's important as always, and I shouldn't have to say this much longer because we've been together long enough, is researching what you're doing is half as important as what your design is, because it directs your design. If you don't know who you're designing for or what you're trying to solve, or who you're trying to influence, your designs are going to never be on target. So you want to make sure you give yourself ample research time. So the first part of the project, which is what is due next week, is this research piece. So I want you to select 3 product categories, okay? And so a product category is like soap, tea, beer, coffee, noodles, chips, soda, frozen food, tennis shoes, take your pick, right? It's a product category. And then I want you to go and research 3 different product categories, okay? And I want you to go to the store to do your research. And I want you to take photos of how is this product displayed. So say, I mean, I've had a student that did this for tennis shoes, and the box itself looked like a pair of tennis shoes. It was converted. It had square sides. It was super cool, super retro. It was neat. And then you open the back and your shoes just pulled out. And the reason he designed it that way is the boxes would stack in your closet. This is for people who had multiple pairs of really nice shoes. The boxes would stack, and you just open the back and slide the shoes in there to keep them stored, right? So he solved, the way he designed the boxes, he solved the storage problem. How many of you guys have multiple pairs of nice tennis shoes? Where are they? All over the floor? Right? I mean, some of those tennis shoes, I know some of those tennis shoes are $300. They can be, you know. I know, Charlie, you look like you might have a couple pairs.
Yeah, I got a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you could stack them, if like say they come in, that you could stack them and then you just slide them in there. And if you get 6 pairs, you got, like you've seen those 6 cubbies, you know, those 6-hole cubbies for shoes. That's the way this guy designed them. Is he's like, if you buy the shoes, the boxes interlock to each other and you can store them. And so you can just have a thing and store all your shoes nice and tidy. Yeah, my personal problem is dress shoes and dress boots, and don't even talk to my wife about how many pair I have. So, but I've got my storage issue figured out. So, all right, I want you to go and look and see where these things are displayed, how they're presented to the public, okay? And then what's the placement on the shelf? What are the competitors around? What is the color scheme? Right? Like the one thing about that pasta that really stood out is there were all these other colors and they made their packaging just white, right? And that just stood out. So look at the competitors around whatever your product category is and take note of it, because that's going to help inform what you're going to do or provide opportunities. And then the one thing I want you to do is here, it says right here, which one is invisible? What do I mean by invisible?
Doesn't catch your eye.
Yeah, exactly. Which one is just so poorly designed or poorly executed that you just don't see it? And then if you want to know, then you make sure you notate why it's that way, okay? Because you want to avoid doing that. And your perception of what you're seeing is because you're a consumer too, right? Is as good of a judgment on what other people are thinking as you're going to get. Because most of these are, I mean, you guys, if you go to a store, it's going to be a consumer product, right? So we all are equally qualified. So then I want you to choose one of these 3 categories as a model for your assignment. Ideally, like for me, I would like, it's actually something I want to do in my free time, is to design a tequila brand. Okay. So, but pick one out. Maybe you want to do tea. I don't know, Amanda, you like tea. Maybe you'll do tea, right? That's your category. But you've looked at others to see what's going on. Research that product, document it. I want you to dig into what is it about it? What makes it different? What's its history? Where is it made? Where is it distributed? I mean, did you guys know, you've heard of Bard's root beer before? Yeah, did you know they don't distribute Bargs in Iowa anymore?
They don't just do it singular, but they do it for like taps. That's
Tap, correct. Yeah, because it's a Southern brand, right? I mean, their Bard's root beer is made in Alabama, and so it was costing them. They weren't getting good enough adoption. So if you go down to south, you go down to Texas or Southern Missouri, and you can get Bard's like in a bottle or a can. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to design a package that's not going to speak to your audience. Just figure out where they sell it, how it's distributed, who the primary target audience is, you know, all the things you need to know. And then I also want you to research 3 competitors. Okay, what are their strengths and weaknesses? So when you're done, you should know your product category and you should have a good idea of the landscape in which your design is going to compete in. That's what's due for next week. So the goal, though, so you know what the goal is the goal is you guys are going to do something like this. Maybe it's not a box, maybe it can be whatever you want it to be, but you're going to design something and you're going to have to create a printer flat, and then you're going to have to, I want you to I would like you to have a functional 3D model so that you can photograph it and put it in your portfolio. Now, I know that right now, because we don't have access to campus, some of you may not have printers. So I'll allow you guys to use mock-ups if you want, or go ahead and make it as wild as you want if some of you are industrious from a craft standpoint. But remember, you want your final one to look professional. Okay, you don't want to, if you're going to make one, just make sure that when you put it together, if you're going to put it together later on, that you pay attention to the details, because you want them to look nice. Bottles are easy. You print them flat and they go around. There's also a lot of templates online. So just something to think about. Questions?
We can pretty much pick anything. It doesn't have to be food related, or does it?
Nope. As long as it has a package. So I had a student who did, she knitted scarves and hats and things like that, right? And so she created this package, like 2 or 3 different packages for her scarves. And she had one package for her scarf, which was a band, and then she had another one for a hat, which was like a little cup, and then the hat would stick in there, but it would stick out the top. So yeah, you can do clothing, as long as you can put a product in it, it's cool.
Okay.
So let's talk about some examples, because everybody always wants to know. So what were you thinking about, Amanda? What kind of products were you thinking about?
Like shampoo and conditioner?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Gloria, what are you thinking? Can't hear you. Sorry.
Bread.
Bread. Awesome. These are, by the way, your answers are helping other people think too. Alyssa, what are you thinking of doing?
I was kind of thinking either doing like a wine bottle or coffee packaging.
Okay. Brooks?
I was maybe thinking about doing a clothes or shoe product. I've done one in the past before for a project before.
Okay. Here at DMAC?
No, it was at the first college I was at. I helped design one of their packaging products as well.
Cool. Good. Noble Lee Star.
I'm thinking about like doing like snack foods. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Like snacks, yeah, stuff like that. Like
What kind of snack?
Pop Tarts. That's the only one I know.
Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
You eat Pop-Tarts?
Well, I don't really like it, but it's food, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. And I work in a grocery store, so like this is like
you're around, you know exactly what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
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 So
So we are picking like 3 different like package designs, right?
you're going to do one package design, right?
Yes.
But you need to think about how it'll work across, multiple flavors, right? It goes back to that extensibility, right? But you're going to research 3.
Okay.
3 categories. So what's a category to you? You said Pop-Tarts, so that's like breakfast snacks. What's another product category?
Soy sauce.
Okay. And like shampoo, right?
Yes.
So those are different product categories.
Yeah.
Or you could look at canned cat food. You could look at packaged breakfast foods, and you could look at frozen TV or frozen dinners. 3 different categories, right? And then in your case, you would pick, I want to do breakfast food. But I want you to look at other categories too, because each category provides you with a unique set of insights about how they compete for attention and how they solve their packaging problems to meet the needs of their customers, right? Because the needs of their customers for a dog food bag is entirely different than somebody who's buying soy sauce. What's the one thing you hate about soy sauce bottles?
When you open it, it's like pouring it out. It's like weird.
It's weird. How about
Yeah.
when you go to tip it to pour it in to what, or put it in it and it shoots out?
Yes.
That first, it spits at you. You know what I mean? It's like, really? Shouldn't do that. Somebody should figure out how to make it not do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Who did?
Who did?
Who figured it out?
Me. I'm going to.
No, Kikkoman did, right? How is
Who?
it? Kikkoman. It's a soy sauce manufacturer. What'd they do? You know which one is Kikkoman?
They have a
No.
special cap on their
They have a
bottle.
little lid on the top where you can pour it out either side. So they fixed the spitting problem. Zach, what do you think, man? What are you thinking of doing?
I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe doing like a laptop because I just got a laptop and it, for being such an awesome laptop, the box is super boring.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Now I've had, so I'm giving, that's fine to do something like that. I've had students do components, like one student did a packaging for graphics cards, right? So you can do games like that. This thing here, this is an electro-harmonics polyphonic octave generator. So fancy word for a box that you put on, connect to your guitar and step on. So Amber, what are you thinking of doing?
Tea.
Tea? Okay. Yep. So the reason I'm asking, I know it sounds redundant, is you guys, you can do whatever you want. Okay. I just want you can pick up, as long as that your product has a package. That's all you got to have. That's the only requirement. Okay. But I mean, try to find something where there's a problem that needs to be solved, because that makes it, think about your day before you go to the store. What's something that you deal with that's irritating, or that you're like, oh, that was just terrible. It could have been better, right? Okay, so for next week, let's have our research done, and I want you guys to share your research. I want you to take photos of your trip to the store. Yes, it's a field trip. Wear your mask, be safe, right? People are not going to die, maybe not right away. Any questions? No? How many
I have
people?
one.
What's your question?
So for the brand, can we make up a brand
Yes, you
of
can.
okay.
Yeah, that's part of where we go next week. But yeah, you guys can make up a brand name. In fact, I would prefer you did. But that's not what's due for next week. No other questions? How many people have turned in their branding assignment? Everybody's done? Okay, those of you who aren't done, get it turned in. Okay, I'll start grading those next week.
I'm going to turn mine in sometime later tonight. My computer is having a little bit of problems.
No, that's fine. I mean, the problem is if you run late on one project, it just affects your ability to get the next one done.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay. No questions, then we'll see you guys, some of you on Monday, and I'll see you, the rest of you, on Thursday. Also remember, you can always text me, and you can always send me emails. Okay? Okay, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye. Happy Halloween.
Bye.